down. What's up, everybody? You are tuned into season 2 of the Elks Call presented by Shotgun Sports. My name is Scout, aka the rep from Section X.
And I'm Kathy, aka Do You Even Elks?
And today we are joined by the founder of Ross Flats Vintage Apparel, former president and CEO of the Edmonton Stingers, and current CEO of Sport Edmonton. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Reed Clarke. Thanks for joining us today, Reed.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Oh, man. Super stoked that you're here. We were also really excited for some Canadian football and some Canadian basketball, and then that snow came back. So, yeah, a little...
It's always, what are we, our fourth winter at this point?
Yeah,
fourth or fifth? I don't know. It just, you think you're out, and then it just comes back in.
You know what's sad? That is, I was supposed to play golf today at Victoria because it was opening day, and I always play at Vic, like the Muni downtown. And so I was kind of done work. It's like 5 o'clock. I'm like, I'm just going to roll by there and see what's going on because the snow sort of melted, right? Yeah. And it's dead. Like, there's nobody there. It's all closed. I walked up by the clubhouse, took a couple pictures. I thought about it. I'm like, maybe I should just play the first hole just to make myself feel good. But anyways, I had to run. But it was sad. So maybe tomorrow.
Hey,
yeah.
we're going to hit the double digits again here within a day or two. So
of course. And very, Edmonton weather.
Yes, and you're probably going to have winter in the morning. So we're going to dig into this show in a moment. But first, we would like to thank everybody for tuning in, whether you're watching on our YouTube, Shotgun Sports Network, or on Facebook or on X, or if you're listening on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Edmonton Sports Talk, or wherever you get your podcasts. While we're here, if you could hit the like and subscribe or favorite button, we would greatly appreciate it. For today's lineup, it's another stacked show. We're going to open up with the More You Didn't Know with Reed Clarke, where we have a discussion and talk about various topics and dig into Reed's life as well. Then we're going to dig into the Kathy's Herd report, talking about the latest Edmonton Elks transactions and news. And it's you got a little bit today.
Yeah,
you got some transactions
more than a couple of weeks ago for sure.
So following that, we're going to give you the Edmonton Sports update, and then we'll cap the show with the fan forum where we discuss the hot topics surrounding the Elks, CFL, and sports world as a whole. Guys, be sure to blow up the Herd chat with any questions or comments, and we'll do our best to get them onto the show. Join the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's kick it off. It's the More You Didn't Know. This segment is brought to you by the Winnipeg Terminal. Catch the flight with Joe and Mike every Wednesday and talk all things Jets and Bombers on Shotgun Sports Network. Wheels up. All right, so today we're going to talk with Reed Clarke about a number of things, including his roots in Edmonton sports scene, the rise of Canadian basketball, his current and future ventures, and maybe, a little bit about Elks ownership. We'd love to get some insights. So once again, guys, if you have any questions, get them into the Herd chat, and we will do our best to get them in here. Reed, you're a successful sports businessman here in the city of Edmonton. Give us a little bit more about your background and your history in the city. How did you get to this point?
Yeah, I don't know about successful, but I'll take something about in sports. Yeah, you know what? I don't really have a conventional route that I got into sports occupations or the industry. I'm born and raised in Edmonton, grew up here, played basketball kind of my whole life from community league to high school, a little bit of men's league, coach my kids now in community league ball. So that's always been, basketball's kind of always been my passion, but I love football. I've always been an Elks season seat holder. I love baseball. I love the history of sports in Edmonton in general. But after I went to school, I worked for Molson for 12 years, when the brewery was here and they had the fort, all that kind of cool stuff. So I was all in the sales capacity, went to Sleeman sales, and then kind of did some marketing at a company called Auto Canada, which owns a whole bunch of car dealerships. And from there, I was a sponsor, courtside season ticket holder for the Stingers. And then when there was kind of an opening for their president role, they posted it on, I think it was on Instagram, and I saw it. I remember taking a screenshot, and I sent it to a buddy of mine who was consulting with the team. I just said, hey, I might be looking for a change. I don't know. Like I've done sales and marketing. That's kind of my whole background for a number of years. Like, is this something I could like try? I don't know. To me, I'm like, I feel like that's what they need more than anything else. They were just coming off back-to-back championships. So like the basketball ops, the sports ops seemed good, but like nobody knew about the team, right? Like it still wasn't doing well in terms of attendance, exposure, all that. So he's like, hey, well, I'll get you hooked up with Mike Moriali, who's the commissioner of the CBL and obviously former CFL great, and said, let's see if you could get an interview with him. And I did. And that went over pretty well. And a couple more calls later, they're like, okay, well, let's take a chance on this guy who has a little bit of a different background, because I think it's what we need, and give him the role as president. So, yeah, man, I kind of started on that end, ran the Stingers for a couple years, got into the ownership group, and then kind of made a call, this fall, said, hey, like, I really love where the community side and sports kind of intersect. This opportunity came up to kind of take the Edmonton Sport Council, now rebranded Sport Edmonton, and kind of like blow that up and make that into something that I think is really needed in the city, and just kind of embracing sports in the community together. So that's kind of my route. I was explaining to some kids at like a university talk like a couple of weeks ago. And they're like, so you saw like an Instagram post and that's how it worked out? I'm like, yeah, kind of. Like, I don't, that's my advice. Like, I mean, get into something and maybe it works out. But I mean, traditionally is more like you start off as an intern, get a sales job, whatever you're doing, you're washing towels, kind of work your way up there. But yeah, I kind of fell in a spot where, sports team really needed, I think, some sales and marketing help. And I was able to provide that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, totally. There's something to say about unconventional methods of, getting a job.
Yeah.
Nowadays you get all of these, postings that you see, you need 2 to 3 years of professional experience, even though you just graduated, a year ago. So talking to young kids that are in university and looking for advice and just pretty much telling them to go for it, from an Instagram post, and you never know what may happen. That's absolutely amazing. So that's a cool story. But let's talk a little bit more about the time that you spent as a president and CEO of the Edmonton Stingers, our local CBL team. From that role, you were able to continue a program called the Fresh Nets.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about your experience with the Stingers and what exactly Fresh Nets is?
Yeah, when I first took the job with the Stingers, like, I mean, coming from the league, and it was a league-owned team at the time, they're really focused on like where you get the sponsorship dollars, where you get season tickets. Like we need to make this actually like financially viable, right? So that was a big focus for me when I really got in there. I was like, okay, let's get sponsorship, let's get season tickets. And we had a pretty like low base. I think we had like $0, a couple hundred season ticket holders, and was able to build that up to a pretty significant number. It was over like 1,000 season ticket holders and a few 100,000 on the sponsorship and then some. But that was a focus, and that did that the first season. We did that. We got some good wins. We were up like 40% in attendance. Sponsorship was double, and that was great. But when I going into the second season, we started doing a lot more kind of community focused programming, and really just getting out there into like junior highs, high schools, working with like local charities. And then we started this program called Fresh Nets. And actually I was doing that back in the day. Like I had a ladder and nets in my car, and on my lunch break when I was working at Canada, I would go fix up nets if I saw a court out there that didn't have a net. Because like as somebody grew up playing basketball outside 3-on-3 style, like I used to bike to like Oliver and Westmount every night to go play hoops with guys. And if you don't have a net, like it sucks. You're not even gonna. It's just brutal. And it's such an easy fix. It's like a few bucks to get a net, to get a ladder. It takes you 5 minutes to do it, and it's never done. It's always looked after, so it drive me crazy. So I started doing it, and then when I came on Stingers, we didn't run out right away. And then kind of this summer, almost after the season, I'm like, let's actually bring this back and order some of our own custom nets and just start doing this and see what the response is. And the response, like within like a couple of weeks, man, it was crazy. Everybody wanted to be a part of it. Everyone had like a story, like, hey, can I go back to my old neighborhood and put up a net here? They've never had one. And we started getting like, man, it was like like local Edmonton celebrities. The mayor did one. We got all these other athletes want to do it. Companies were sending out their employees for this, and it kind of just built a life of its own. And then we just kind of kept going from there, and turned that into the fall. And then we're doing it in the winter. It was like -30. We'd be putting up nets once in a while. So that Fresh Nets program was really sort of kind of took a life of its own. And even when I left the Stingers in the fall, and I wasn't sure if that was going to be something that was going to be like, to be honest, like the top priority for them, or if they want to continue or not. It just wasn't clear at the time. I was like, I can't let this thing go. Like I got to keep this rolling, right? Because it's the kind of thing, like I bring a net and a sticker, like when I go on vacation with the wife and the kids, and we'll put them up. Like we're in Disneyland, we're putting up stickers and nets. Like wherever we go, we're doing it. So it's really something that it's close to my heart. So I've kept that going. It's now officially a foundation, and we got some sponsors on board to kind of help us out. We did a Fresh Nets Day last week where I'm still getting like Aaron Grimes helped out. We had some Stingers helping out. We had some other kind of local business guys helping out. So it's something I think can just kind of keep building, and could probably go way beyond Edmonton, right? Like I think it can go across the country beyond that. And to that note, there was some guys reached out from a program in Africa, and they're like, hey, with these nets, we never have nets, and the climate here eats these nets up. Like, could you provide some? And I was able to get a donation, and we sent them 100 nets. And so we'll probably continue doing that with a few other groups too.
Well, and it was so cool seeing it back in the day with the Stingers as well. I mean, Blaine Allen here says, great job, thank you, in the herd chat. There was a massive community impact, especially because you're showing up with Stingers themed nets.
Yeah.
Like that was so cool to see that. Like your local team is showing up with their gear. It's a special net for you guys. You guys get to celebrate it. And yeah, I mean, when you're shooting the hoops, it's like, yeah, the Stingers replaced that. The Edmonton Stingers did that. Why don't we go to a game soon? Done, right? Easy, very easy for marketing, but it's also giving back to the community. So yeah, thrilled. Love that.
And that I mentioned it before that if there's something that Edmontonians love is community, right? That's why I made the comment that if there's anything that says Edmonton, they will eat it up, and if they know that is something that affects the community in positive ways, they will eat it up.
Yeah.
So it was really amazing to see that, and yeah, there's no reason why it couldn't go nationwide, worldwide if you're already sending.
Well, I think with the community side, to your point, like that Edmontonians love, it's like what I was really proud of at the Stingers is like we were showing up, like we were putting our blood, sweat, and tears into doing that, putting up nets at whatever time of night, in the morning, on the weekends, like really doing that. And I think that was something that really resonated with people in the city, because they kind of know if you're faking it, and when you're just like, hey, here's the picture with me in a giant check, and we're all waving and everyone's happy, but it's like, they're out here grinding. They're out here grinding because they actually want to do this, and they said they would, and they kind of held their word to get up, hundreds of nets around the city.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's not just a photo op, right? You kind of actually have to do something. And I see you grinding all the time on X, Fresh Nets, something that I love following as well. So yeah, make sure everybody go follow Reed Clarke. Get in on that adventure. And I believe you actually have a page separately for Fresh Nets, right?
Yeah, there's a couple. Yeah, we've got a Fresh Nets account on X and in LinkedIn and Instagram, of course.
Nice. Everybody, you got to go get that follow in. But speaking of Edmonton, I know earlier, right? People eat the word Edmonton. Edmontonians eat the word Edmonton. So let's talk about Sport Edmonton, man. How did that happen? What exactly does Sport Edmonton do?
Yeah, good questions. How it happened. So Sport Edmonton is the evolution from the Edmonton Sport Council. The Edmonton Sport Council has been around for, I don't know, like 25 years or something, a long time. And it's not for profit. It's funded majority by the city. And really, like, the mandate from them from the beginning was really to advocate and emphasize sports in the city. That's great. And I got asked to join the board back in the summer, kind of like mid Stinger season. So I was pretty busy. I helped out where I could. I probably wasn't the most detailed, thorough board member in the world, but I was there. And then kind of when I left the Stingers, I was working on my next opportunity. I met with some of the board, and they said, hey, like, we're looking to maybe change the direction here. We think there's an opportunity for this to be something bigger than what it is. What are your thoughts on maybe coming on board and leading that? And thought about it for a while, and I said, man, that could be pretty cool, because you see these sports organizations in other cities and provinces, and they're a big deal. They've got a lot of people, they got a big budget, they got a lot of clout, they're making a difference. And I think the Edmonton one has an opportunity to do that. So I said, okay, let's do this, but let's kind of blow it up. And then change the name, because like Edmonton Sport Council, even though the work was great, it just seems like a corporate weird name to me. I kind of hate it, because it sounds like very much like city council has to vote on things, and I don't know, maybe nothing gets done. It's a little bit slower than things.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what is this? So I'm like there's all these other ones. There's Sport Calgary, there's Sport BC, there's Spokane Sports, there's Sport Ottawa. It's very obvious what that does, right? So I'm like, let's rebrand it to Sport Edmonton. And I think, instead of just kind of advocating and educating for sports organizations, let's look at what other opportunities there are. And we had like a strategic planning session to that. We realized nobody was really helping like grassroots community events. Like, you want to run a 5K fun run, you want to run a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, you want to run a soccer tournament in your neighborhood, and maybe you don't know how to like get a grant, or even how to approach a city, or even how to do that. We want to be the organization that helps you get that off the ground, and supports it from a marketing standpoint, maybe a funding standpoint as well. So we kind of thought there's a real big need for that community side of sports, real grassroots level. So let's add that on to what we can do as an organization. And then the other part was, and working with the city and Explore Edmonton, who are partners of ours, like they're good about, and Edmonton loves bringing these huge events to town. They buy tickets, people show up, they stay at hotels, they go to restaurants, volunteers are crazy. But like, you have these events, and then there's nothing left behind. It's like they're here and they're gone. And that's not really a fault of anybody, just nobody was focusing on like, what's the legacy piece left behind from these things, right? So we kind of got identified, well, maybe Sport Edmonton can be that kind of conduit. When we're talking to an organization that wants to come here, there's some funding that's set aside to redo a basketball court, to redo a hockey rink, to implement a new program that goes for kids getting into that sport, like whatever that is, infrastructure or program, to do that. So that's those are kind of the two new things that we're leaning on. So we're still going to advocate for sports groups. We're still going to educate sports groups, but we're really going to be now in charge of making sure there's a legacy left behind from these sporting events, and then making sure these like people get help, honestly, with really like grassroots sporting events that happen in the city. So that's kind of where we're getting to, and we've already started doing some of those things in the short amount of time that we've been up and running as the new Sport Edmonton.
And that legacy piece, that's I think one of the most important things, because you are correct. Like, take a look at, Red Bull Crashed Ice. I think we've had 2 events.
Yeah.
But what's actually lasting out of that? There's there's no legacy piece there. It's an event comes in, they set up, they tear down. Like you said, right? People eat their food, they buy the merchandise, they spend the money, and then they move along. So
well, and even beyond that, right? I mean, you touched on this point in terms of the grassroots, right? When you have events that just come in and out, you're not really making a last impression that will go to the next generation.
Yeah.
And we've talked plenty before about what is missing, say, with the Edmonton Elks and football programs, and how the grassroots, level can increase, and more visibility. How can we
market
solve
it better?
that,
Yes.
right?
Like,
what would you say? What are your thoughts on that? Like, how would you solve the lack of interest in certain sports at the grassroots level? Now that you're really getting involved with something like that, what would be your thoughts?
Yeah, I one thing I'll finish on the legacy piece is, like, if there was things being done before, nobody told that story. Nobody knows what it is, right? Like, let's say the Heritage Classic, like, did something happen before? Is there a whole new like hockey program that gets kids into it? Who knows? Like, I don't know, right? And that's a problem. So if it is happening, we're not telling the public and educating them on how it is, if it even is at all, right? But I guess the question is like getting kids into sports. Like, or into specific sports?
Like what's missing at the grassroots? Like how like what's the number one way it can improve, right?
Yeah.
Like is it a marketing issue?
No, it's man, it's access. Like it's just getting right now. I mean, I see with my kids, I'm sure you guys see your kids, like, why does everything have to get right away to like 5 times a week? Like, can a kid just play hockey or football or basketball or soccer and not take over their schedule and my schedule? Like, there needs to be a point where like kids can just get in and access, and they can go to their community league and just play soccer or just play basketball or whatever sport it is, right? I'm only bringing up those two because they're obviously popular and growing in numbers in the city a lot. But like it's removing those kind of barriers. And I think the time is the big one. Obviously, money is a big one as well. But like, there's a lot of families and parents, and good for them that they have the ability to drive their kids around from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock for practices 4 or 5 times a week, like whether it's gymnastics, swimming, hockey, who knows? But like a lot of other kids like don't have that chance because their parents are still working. They got a couple jobs, or it's too far for them to get to, right? So it's about, you got to really look at it like you can't just throw money at a program and that's fine. You got to look at it from the start. And I think a group like Free Play, kind of started that. It's like we pick up the kids in areas. We feed them. We take them to their practice or tryouts or games, and then we bring them back and do all that, like facilitate the whole thing, right? And that's what it needs to be. But I think having that, like, it also has to be, if it's not even that organized or structured, like you should be able to, I mean, we've got fields and parks and courts all over the city.
Everywhere.
Well, like public swimming, you have a public swimming hour at whatever, pool.
Yeah.
Why not have public basketball, public football time, public baseball, that you just open up a space for an hour or two and allow kids to come in and play. That's
have somebody who knows how to kind of teach them, at least give them the basics on that, facilitate it a bit, and that's it, man. And make it really, really easy for them to get to, right? I think that's huge, and that's what we probably got to lean into a lot. I mean, I'll say there's like 100 outdoor community league rinks in the city that are like kept operational from volunteers and everything. Like, instead of trying to get kids to find ice time at 8 o'clock at night or whatever, like, there's how many days in the year that kids could just walk over there and learn how to skate, learn how to play, like the basics of that I think we can get into, right? So I don't know, there's a lot, like, that's not an easy thing to do, but that's where it needs to get to, is just getting kids active and starting sports in there. And then after that, if they show big interest and they want to go on, man, there's tons of programs that take kids to the next level and build up there and get them to that kind of elite level. Like, we don't need to touch that. And our organization is not trying to touch that at all. Let's just actually get kids being active into sports and making that a part of their life, right?
Yeah, and we even have, those issues when it comes to our boys. Are we going to commit the 4 to 5 days a week? Mm-hmm. And hey, we will if they want it that bad. But what if, I'll speak from experience. I was one of those kids that wanted to do a different sport every month. Taekwondo, put that down real quick. I did soccer for 2 years. I did hockey for 2 years. I was an every 2 years kind of guy. I switched it up, right?
Right.
That's because I usually wasn't really truly enjoying what I was doing anyways, right? It was my parents wanted me to do a sport. You got to get them to want to do it. It's, there's...
Well, and there's also other limitations as well. For example, our 6-year-old, he loves football. You can't really find football for 6-year-olds right now, right? So you have to wait until you're 8. And so we either have to wait until we're both available so that we can go to the field and play football with him, or wait for one of those, one day.
Golden Bears, the Golden Bears does a program, I guess.
Exactly. But, one of those things that happen just in the summer for either a day, maybe it's a day camp, maybe it's a couple of day camps, maybe it's a week, maybe it's 2 weeks, and that's all you get, right? He would love to just meet up with other kids that have the same interests, that maybe learn a little bit more and just play.
Yeah.
So, agree. That's...
No.
Well, we'll get it. We'll get there.
Eventually.
We'll get there. And that point on football, like, obviously flag football, the growth is getting big, and it's only going to get bigger with the Olympics here. But like, that's a perfect thing for boys and girls, young ages, whatever, to get into. And I know there's a bit of a push from the Elks on that. I think the NFL is probably pushing that even more. But I look at that as it's the 3x3 for basketball is flag football for football. And that should be like school programs should be developed, should be really pushed pretty hard. And I hope we can actually work with a couple organizations to kind of lead that and maybe make that a legacy piece left behind from, the World Football Championships is happening this year, and maybe a flag football piece that goes into schools and teaches kids, both boys and girls, how to play can be something that's built on.
No, that would be amazing. And even going back to your point about, the NFL has their the flag football, their showdown, and they do it in the CFL stadiums. So it's like, why isn't the CFL maybe trying to push that a little bit more? Yeah, that's what you'd hope, right? With Canadian rules and everything else. I know the NFL, when they come up, I think they may do it in partnership. Sometimes they don't, with the CFL. So, it's you wish that the CFL did a little bit better. I will gladly harp on the CFL. I think, already their marketing is really bad, but there's a million complaints I'm sure I could go on about, but one of them is they don't do the grassroots moves enough. It's they don't push for that type of engagement. Even with the WHL, the WHL markets kids nonstop. The Stingers, they're known to be a very family-friendly activity. So anyways, I could go on for days, but moving right along, throwing it back. We know you like a good throwback. We know you make them. You happen to own the original Edmonton Trappers logo rights. I know you've talked quite a bit about it lately, but you're working with our friends over at EST. Well, you have already. You've released this beautiful Trappers jersey with City of Champs apparel, which is the merger product of Ross Flats and City of Champs. So how did this all come to fruition? And I guess what's the backstory on the Trappers logo? I think that's what we want to know the most.
Yeah, I mean, the backstory is when I was doing my my MBA, I was doing that kind of while working, and there was a project that I took. I think it was like an entrepreneurial class, and the project was like, find a business, write the business case, see if it actually works, and it can come alive. And the project I picked, because I've always loved sports and I've always loved kind of history, those two things merging together. So I saw in the States that there's like Ebbetsfield flannels, there's Homage, there's all these companies that are making really cool retro logos and gear, right? I always love that, even like the vintage hockey stuff. I always love that. I was like, hey, that's going on. They're doing it all over the States, and it's like become a big thing. There's online stores and real stores, and people buy it, but no one's really doing that in Canada. And I was like, no one's really doing that in like Western Canada, and no one's really doing it in Edmonton. And me just being kind of like a homer for the city, I was like, well, let me just start doing a little bit of research and seeing what's out there. And from that, I started looking at like the 1914 Edmonton Baseball Club, the Grays, the Flyers, the Grads. I started going through all this history of Edmonton sports. And there's been like a champion, like when he used to call us the city champions, it actually goes back like 100 and something years. We've always had champions in Western Canada, Canadian, international, in sports from like rugby and football and basketball and baseball. And that was kind of crazy. So I was looking at that, and I said, hey, let's just start looking at like trademarks and seeing if this stuff has been trademarked, the name of the logo. And then I was just kind of digging on the Canadian Intellectual website, and I saw the Edmonton Trappers name when I was looking it up, and it was expunged. So expunge means, I didn't really know, but expunge means that somebody had the trademark and they gave it up and they haven't renewed it, right? And so that was obviously the old Edmonton Eskimos group had that. They were the last team before they sold it to Nolan Ryan, which I think we're still using some of the funds that Nolan Ryan paid for that to pay for the Elks operations, which is funny. But I saw that was expunged. I was like, well, what does that mean? And talked to some legal friends of mine. They said, well, like, you can apply for it. So I applied for it. It was like $250. And then from there, you get kind of put into a queue, as I understand it. Anybody who had that trademark before actually has an option to get it back over like the next 8 months. So they all get like a letter, they all get noticed. So it would have been like The Edmonton Eskimos board would have went to them. Maybe Peter Pocklington group. I don't know. A bunch of other people. And but if they don't do it, then you can actually get the trademark registered. So waited those months, and then they got the trademark registered. And then from there, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I think. And in the meantime, I started the business anyways, Ross Flats, Vintage Apparel, and it was just based on old school Edmonton logos. And I went like really deep on like 1909 Grays baseball team who won the Western Canadian Championship. But I was like waiting for this Trappers thing to come through if it could happen. And then when it did, I was like, all right, let's go. Like, I loved going to Trappers games. I went to Ducey Park. I'd go with my dad and get a Ducey dog and hang out. And then when they moved into Telus Field, now Remax, I mean, I lived across the street. I used to go, I had a condo there when it was like Cracker Cats. I'd go watch the games by myself with like a paper and a beer and just hang out. And it was only me and Crusher, the mascot, and 50 other people. But it was still a great time. So it's always been close to my heart, baseball and that team. So when I got the Trappers thing green lit, I just said, let's start making logos, or let's start making gear with the different logos, right? So did the research, and I was like, okay, well, they've won like 4 PCL championships. Let's kind of do a different brand, based on each one of those kind of designs, and try to keep it as authentic as possible to that. And yeah, man, I started doing it, and that was, I don't know, like 5 years ago. And people liked it. It was always kind of something I did, a little bit of a side business, but it was great. You get orders every day and come up with new ideas. And then from there, I look at different teams and find the Edmonton Flyers and the Edmonton Grads basketball team, which is crazy history. Should have got into the Hall of Fame this year, didn't, but that's another story. Yeah, man. And then I was doing that, but to be honest, the quality of my stuff was kind of like, it was okay, but it could have been stepped up, right? So when my buddy Sean Hill approached me, who runs City of Champs apparel, he's like, "Great, I could help you make like really nice stuff, better quality shirts. You've never done jerseys before, because I could never find a right manufacturer to do it." He's like, "I got a guy who makes jerseys for like, I think it was some MLB teams, some teams in Japan. I'm going to connect with him. Let's kind of do a merger and see if we can really take this to the next level." So that took a few months, and then we put that all together at the end of March, and then we're kind of dropping lines. We dropped like our Trappers 90 line, which is kind of based on like the 96, 97 black and teal back-to-back PCL championships, and got the jerseys, and they've been hot sellers, and they're going quick. And we put Jason Giambi's name on the back and Tim Salmon on another one, and then we'll look to kind of do a few more eras of Trapper stuff, and then bring back some other cool vintage logos like that E hat, which is the Edmonton Eskimos baseball team in 1914. We'll be looking to bring that back too, and kind of some different apparel options. So that's kind of the story, but man, it's just been a passion project that I love doing.
Well, and now it's actually taking off. I mean, Tom Gazzola in the Trappers gear. I mean, you couldn't have did better. I mean, he is pretty much a model anyways, but man,
it's a beautiful jersey, and now it just takes it the extra level.
The black and white
with
shots,
the Solus face on.
So funny. Like, I mean, it's hilarious, but those jerseys sell themselves. Let's be real. I want one. I'm gonna be ordering one. That's for darn sure. But I mean, you guys even had a launch party for that. How was that launch party down at Remax? Remax?
Yeah, it was at Remax. So like when we were kind of thinking about, okay, let's launch it, and I was talking to Sean. He's like, "Oh, we'll put it online." I'm like, "Dude, we've got to have a party. You got to have a DJ. You got to have a photographer. You got to have." We had our own Trappers beer that Alley Cat did, which we might be looking to do in the future as a product people can buy. And then I'm like, there's only one place we can do it at. It's at the ballpark. Like, let's do it there. We did in the home plate lounge, and it was a vibe, man. It was a great party. People showed up. They rocked the gear. They had a good time. We even had hot dogs from our friends at Fuge, kind of giving out free sausages and everything. So it was, yeah. I mean, that's what it was about. Like, this is bringing good people from Edmonton together who love sports and love kind of vintage apparel. Remember the Trappers, and everyone did, man. They thought it was cool. And the stuff's like, the logo is great. It's the colors, like the black and the teal from the 90s, just hit right now. everyone loves that, from like the San Jose Sharks and the Grizzlies and the Florida Marlins. So it's all good, man. It's all good. It's fun to do it, and I want to do more of them.
Kathy likes teal, so
Yeah, teal and black, my thing for
Teal
sure.
and black, it's huge. Yeah, it's great.
So another great opportunity for throwback merchandise is the 2024 Edmonton Elks season, which is celebrating the 75th anniversary season this year. So have you been there lately? And
season ticket holder.
yeah, well,
Season
I'm
ticket holder.
sure he is. So what's your thoughts on the current state of the brand, and what would you do for a throwback jersey?
A throwback jersey. I'm trying to look around because I've got one spot in my house where I get to put all my my memorabilia and stuff. It's all around here. Trying to think if I have one. I think I have one somewhere. I want to say it's from like the 50s, and I think it just has numbers on the front, not on the back. It's kind of like it's like a gold arms color, and then like a dark kind of forest green. But I love that jersey. I think it's great. I would go something way back on that, or maybe I might even, because I mean the jerseys were the U of A Golden Bears jerseys, right? Like they lent them to them, and that's how they got their first jerseys, which is a crazy story in 1949. But I guess that's how it all went down. So maybe I would actually rock like University of Alberta jerseys, like maybe like from then, right? Like if you want to go real throwback, go from where it actually started, like, and maybe even have Alberta across the chest or whatever it said back then. I don't even know, but I would go way back. And kind of the current state on the team and what's going on. I mean, I think the on-field product obviously needs to be better, and there's a whole bunch of things you can change on that. But you probably don't want my opinion on that. You got more qualified people to give you answers on that side of things.
We love fan opinions. We love.
And hey, you're an Elks fan, man. You're an Elks fan.
No, but I mean, like the thing that I can kind of talk to is, from going to games and seeing, it's like, there's a connection missing there. There's a vibe missing there. They've got to tap into that. And in my opinion, like that has nothing to do with the on-field product in some ways. Like you should be able to go and have a great time with your buddies, with your kids, whatever, regardless of what has to happen on the field. And as you're running this as a business and entertainment option, those things got to be dialed in, and those tickets got to be sold. And I like their theme nights they released. They kind of most of them make sense, except for maybe the Dino Night one. I don't really understand that, but maybe kids just love dinosaurs and they'll all go.
No, they're doing
Yeah, that was the whole point, though, that everybody loves dinosaurs. So.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's great, but like there's something kind of missing there, and I think the part that kind of frustrates me, and I've said this to people in the organization, is like there's a lot of kind of like apologizing, feeling down on themselves about how things have gone. And obviously attendance not good, team's been not great, all these kind of things. There's been issues with the name change, all that stuff. But like you're still the Edmonton Football Club, man. Like you still have the most storied history in the league. You play in an awesome Giant stadium that used to be full. You've got such a rich history. I mean, I think there's probably more diehard Elks, Eskimos fans here than even Oilers if you really get down to the roots of it. And I want the organization, the people there, to be kind of proud of the history and where they've come from and what they are now, and not kind of be like, well, we messed up and we hope you guys forgive us and come back. It's like, stop with that kind of attitude. That part drives me crazy. Like it's a proud organization, and I think you need to acknowledge that, right?
Just own it. And
Yeah.
I really like just own it.
Own it.
I really think that they're starting to figure that out, and that's why they're bringing a lot of historical nights and going through the ages, through the decades here, and bringing the history and trying to put a lot more emphasis on the kind of team that they want to be. So I am very, very excited to see what they put up this year.
Now, speaking of owning it, Elks ownership, do you think what's your opinion on that? Is it a good idea? And what would be your ideal ownership group?
Yeah, I think an ownership group has to be local, right? I mean, if you're going to go from a community-owned team to a privately owned franchise, right? I think it's got to be a local person, man, woman, group, whatever it is. But they got to have those ties. So I would say that number one. I mean, the community-owned option, like, I mean, you've got the Elks do it, Saskatchewan does it, Winnipeg does it, obviously Green Bay does it very successfully in the NFL. And they all kind of have different models of how they do it. I always thought it's a great idea. I think they should lean into it more. I think they should explain what that means. But I don't think having 100 and something shareholders who pay kind of a nominal fee is very community-owned, right? And not knowing who they are. Like, to me, if you're gonna make it a community-owned team, like, open it up to everybody from every corner of the city and attract different groups that really speak to what Edmonton is. And when we try to do that with the Stingers, and we did that, it was like the Edmonton I know, grew up in, and I love now, has so many different diversity and groups, and they all love sports, and they want to come together, and they want to have a good time. And I would really tap into all those different communities, right? So, I mean, saying that, I think a community site, like, I think it could work, man. I really do. And I think you could actually raise a lot of funds that you need to keep the team operational. But, if it's past that point and you got to get somebody with some cash in that can, stop the bleeding, turn this around, make it back into a profitable organization, then I think you got to do that, right? And I think they, knowing from some of the people I've talked to on the board, like, I think like everybody wanted to keep this community-owned team, and maybe they still want to keep it that. I don't know, but if it's past that point, you got to look at private ownership, and you got to do what you got to do to make this still work, right?
Yeah, and local, I think, is what everybody says. The one consensus, they want to see local. They don't want to see somebody just come in with a cash injection and to not actually care, right? It's you see a lot of those ownership groups out there.
Yes.
In this instance, there needs to be that further connection. Like, Victor was from Edmonton, so people immediately resonated with Victor Cui, right? So, even with yourself, you're from Edmonton, so you in your role, even right now at Sport Edmonton, it allows you to connect that much quicker and that much stronger.
I mean, and this is an authentic city, right? Like, they see through bullshit. And if you're not really from here, you're trying to do it to make a quick buck or have other kind of ulterior motives, they'll pick up on that pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
So, do you have to be from here? I guess you don't, but you better embrace the city and the people and kind of be about it, man. Like, like you got to be out there everywhere, shaking hands, kissing babies, supporting minor football, going to those events. Like, I mean, if you're a president CEO, like, you should be at the Golden Bears football games, as many as you can. You should be at JP Bowl seeing Rebels football games, in my opinion. You should be in Sherwood Park at Bet Facey games. And you should be at Stingers games, and you should be at Oilers games, and you should be doing all those kind of things, and then helping out with, obviously, all these great charities and stuff, right? Like, that's how I think you got to do it, and that's what people will see and be like, hey, this guy, this gal, this group is all about this. They really want to make this work.
Well, and much like we've talked before, right? It's just like what you did with Sport Edmonton. On the business side of things, this is going to be another rebuild. They're going to come in and they're going to blow some things up, but like you said, it's going to be getting back to the communities. Now, the Edmonton Elks, in one hand, sure, they should not be beating themselves up, but in the other hand, they have to go out and reconnect and reestablish. And it's going to be a lot more than putting, let's say, a sponsorship logo at Randy Rosen Rink.
Yeah.
Right. Saying proud sponsor, like, hey, that's cool. That's great. But get some appearances out there, get some actual face time in and get that real, not just a photo op, not just going out and spending 5 minutes and leaving. So, yeah, man, that's why we're very, very thankful that not only that you joined the show today, but that you're in the role that you are and that you're getting the grassroots movement moving a little bit faster now. So, yeah, man, you're always an awesome chat. Really appreciate this, Reed. Where can we find you? Any major projects coming up? Anything you got juicy details on?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me at Reed Clarke at some kind of aspect of that on handles on Instagram. LinkedIn and Twitter. Things we're working on, with Sport Edmonton and the legacy part that we talked on. We're actually working with the WNBA right now and the City of Edmonton, Explore Edmonton. For their exhibition game that's coming, we're going to redo an outdoor court, WNBA logos, backboards, refresh the whole thing. And we're hoping to get that done in time the day before the game and do a bit of an announcement there, which I think is a really cool piece. And it really ties into a whole bunch of stuff that we're trying to do. So hopefully that's one of a few courts we can do. Hopefully we can do some outdoor rinks too. And then kind of touches more on your guys. I think there's a possibility for a flag football program that we can help lead and get that going. So that's all on like the Sport Edmonton side. There's some really cool legacy pieces coming up. And then, on City of Champs, like we got some new drops coming, and I think we're going to do like an 80s Trapper drop. It's going to be like, I saw the jerseys. It's going to be sick. It's going to be awesome. That, and then kind of those new E caps and new E versions, that'll be dropping in the next month or so. So
Awesome.
Well, that'll be exciting. It's not like you need any more hats or jerseys. We all know how that's going to go.
Support local.
Exactly.
Everybody go hit them up. City of Champs Apparel Company, and then Sport Edmonton.
Got it.
Reed Clarke, man, can't thank you enough for joining the show. This was fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Can't thank you guys enough. Appreciate it. Anytime.
Got me. Awesome. We'll chat soon, man.
Yeah, see you in Section X.
See you out there, brother. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Take it easy. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Reed Clarke, Sport Edmonton, and former Stinger CEO, and currently City of Champs Apparel. Guy's great. He is a great business mind. He's definitely got the charisma and everything else for it. So always good. City of Champs Apparel, nonstop selling those jerseys like hotcakes.
Yeah,
like hotcakes. So
I love them. They're really, really nice.
They're
I really like them.
super slick. Definitely, everybody go check them out. Next up, we got Kathy's Herd Report, where Kathy is going to bring you the latest news and transactions. However, just wanted to say thanks to everybody for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, X, or of course listening on your favorite podcatcher, we appreciate you. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and or favorite. So today's Herd Report is brought to you by Off the Reins Podcast. The Birmingham Stallions are going for the 3-peat, and Ryan Messer has you covered for the journey. Find OTR every week on Shotgun Sports Network. Giddy up.
Yeah, so let's move on to the transactions. More than the single one that we saw a couple of weeks ago, that's for sure. On April 9th, we had the Elks signing 3 former first-round picks. We had national wide receiver Hergy Mayala and national offensive lineman Shane Richards and Hunter Stewart. So one of the things that I noticed, and I was scrolling through Twitter, and I saw, of course, Dave Campbell talking about these.
630 Chad.
Yes.
Shout out Dave Campbell.
He said that the signing of Mayala is most likely insurance for Curly Gittens Jr., who quite likely won't be ready for training camp and may miss a few games to start the regular season coming off major hip surgery. So based on that, should we have made that trade?
Yeah. I mean, why not? It's Curly Gittens Jr. It's still instant chemistry, right? So it's still going to work out. He's going to be injured for a couple games, more than likely. Well, not injured, but coming off of that surgery, he's going to be recovering, right? So it's not a bad deal.
Do you get a little worried every time that you see somebody coming back from surgery that, there's a possibility that they might get re-injured, or they may not be playing as well as they're used to because they're also quite conscious of their own injury and don't want to make it worse?
Well, I mean, we can't speak for what an athlete's thinking, but what I will say is Aaron Grimes is a very good example of this. Aaron Grimes, unfortunately, just could not get back to that same level of health. He just had a nagging injury that went on and on and on and on. And unfortunately, that's football. Now, another team has to gamble on Aaron Grimes.
Mhm.
And who knows, maybe he gets the call if he's healthy enough from the Edmonton Elks. At this point, I would say no. We're already loaded up. We got jobbers. So hard to say, right? In this instance, like, yes, there is always a concern when somebody's coming back from a major injury like that through a surgery. There is concern that they do not get back to that point.
Mhm.
At this point, with Kittens Girly Girly Kittens Jr.
I love it. Kittens girly.
But KGJ, I don't believe that that's a bad deal at all.
So Len here in the comments, of course, it's instant in chemistry, but do we have 3 or 4 games to spare?
Len in the herd chat, what up, Len? Do we have 3 to 4 games to spare? Not really. However, having Hergy Mayala come in, that's the best replace. One of the better. Well, I wouldn't say one of the better replacements. There is chemistry there. I don't know if Hergy Mayala is going to make it into that starting role. There is a little bit of depth there. There's other players. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Interesting.
We'll see. We'll just knock on wood over here. Make sure that nothing like that happens.
But Len is right in the herd chat. We are in win now mode. So it needs to happen.
Yes.
Good questions. Okay. So.
Well, April 11th, we had American defensive lineman Asur Kamara signed. On April 12th, American quarterback Woodrow Trey Lowe III was signed. Another quarterback. I know we will talk about that later. And on April 16th, yet another American defensive back, Keshawn Walker, was signed. So now we're kind of in that same area of too many quarterbacks. Do we have too many defensive linemen that are fighting for a spot? And with these 17 defensive linemen that are fighting for 10 spots, does that even replace Ceresna and what AC Leonard brought to this team?
They're definitely throwing it all at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's what they're doing here. I mean, in the quarterback department, they're not. And there is a bunch of hubbub on that. I think we're going to get to it, right? But in this instance with Ceresna and AC Leonard, I don't know if you can replace that, but they're going to get as close as they possibly can. That's why they have 17 loaded up. Now, in some instances, a defensive lineman can also go work the offensive line as well. So maybe there's a versatility piece. We know how Chris Jones is. Chris Jones likes Swiss Army knives. He likes people that can do other roles, right? So don't be surprised if maybe one of those guys, if they do, let's say make it to even a backup position, or maybe they even make it into a starting position, right? It might be versatility. We might see them be a little bit more versatile. We don't know.
Well, the only thing that I know for sure is that training camp is going to be insane. So
now. I want to talk about the quarterback so bad, but
yes, we're gonna get there. Well, you know what? We really, that's pretty much what we have for transactions. There's not much else. In terms of what's coming up, I know that we have the
theme nights.
No. We'll talk about that too. We'll talk
excited
about that later. Now we have the CFL draft here coming up. 30th, April 30th. That's pretty much what comes next. And then after that, we'll be going into training camp, of course. So a month of action, couple of more weeks before we see that draft and see what pops for the Elks. But
do you want to do a draft? Are we going to do a draft special?
Maybe.
You want to do a draft special?
A live one while it's happening? No, I feel like CFL drafts are way too boring for that.
Stop it. No. Okay, now we are doing a draft special. So let us know, herd chat. Let us know if you guys would watch a draft special and get in on the draft with us. And to prove to Kathy that the CFL draft is not boring.
You said so yourself.
I did not. Okay, so we are going to dive right into the Edmonton sports update. For once, unassisted.
Oh.
Unassisted. Today's sports update is brought to you by Herdy's. Where do you go for all that smoked meat? Herdy's. But do I need to pay? No. Will there be smoked sausages? Yes.
I don't want any smoked sausages.
Herdies. We smoke the meats.
What's wrong with you?
The Edmonton Oilers. Oh, the Edmonton Oilers are in the playoffs. The Oilers will be defending home ice against the Vegas Golden Knights or the LA Kings as early as Saturday and as late as Tuesday. Stay tuned to Oilers socials for the latest playoff information.
That is a yay. Where is it? Yeah.
The Sherwood Park Crusaders are ramping up for the playoffs. The organization is seeking volunteers for the upcoming BCHL playoffs, so be sure to contact the Sherwood Park Crusaders if you'd like to volunteer at the Randy Rosen Rink. An hour of work means 3 periods of free BCHL action. Great deal.
It's lots of fun.
For more on Edmonton's sports scene, check out Len's weekly sports articles on shotgunsportsnetwork.ca. We're the Elks Herd. You're up to date. And of course, our affiliates. We gotta talk about our affiliates. Throwbacks.
We've talked a lot about throwbacks.
Heavy throwbacks. So, I mean, I hope that we can let's get City of Champs apparel in the affiliates here so that we can
Right.
show off their nice Trappers ones. But Royal Retros, Shotgun Sports is the code. 10% off the Warren Moon.
Look at that.
The Warren Moon. It's beautiful. The Throwback Kings, Royal
Mhm.
Retros, code Shotgun Sports, all caps, no spaces. Get that 10% off. Treat yourself. Make sure for that alumni autograph signing, having one of these is a great display piece.
Yeah.
So, and you could also
Is
go
it
to
public knowledge now?
I don't know
Okay.
what I don't know about the official list yet. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know about. I don't know. No, I don't think we have that information yet.
Okay.
I wish we did. Royal Retros, Shotgun Sports. All right, and then Fanatics. Hit the link. Shop online with Shotgun Sports Network and Fanatics. You hit the link, and they always got a sale over there. We know there's always a sale over at
Mhm.
Fanatics. If you hit our link, you make a purchase, we get a little tip. So support Shotgun by clicking our links. And then Lather Canadian handmade soap, lather without the E. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been using their aluminum free deodorant for a month and a half now. And it still has not disappointed me. I went for the sandalwood bourbon. That is my scent. That is my favorite scent. Sandalwood bourbon. That deodorant is freaking amazing. It smells like the soap. So I smell clean. Catherine now says I smell like soap. So, guys, I've never been a soap guy. Smell damn good. The code is Shotgun Sports. All caps, no spaces. Shotgun Sports 20 for 20% off. It's a little pricey, but it's worth it, especially when you're getting 20% off. So, guys, go hit it up. Once again, that code Shotgun Sports 20, all caps, no spaces. Lather without the E. Lather.com. Okay, best part of the show, guys. Well, talking to Reed was the best part of the
Of
show, but
course.
the fan forum is always a fan favorite. So let's open it up, shall we?
Mhm.
We are opening up the fan forum. This is where we talk about hot topics surrounding the Edmonton Elks and the CFL as a whole. Blow up the herd chat so we can get your comments onto the show. Before we talk about that, Jamie Fadoon in the herd chat, I would watch the CFL draft if you have it on the Elks Herd podcast. That's one. Ryan Messer. It won't be boring with you guys. Shout out Ryan Messer
So I guess
of
we
OTR podcast.
That's two.
Draft special.
Yes, we
That's
are.
all we needed. Twisted our rubber arms. So news for everybody here. CFL draft special. Stay tuned. We will definitely get you that information. It's going to be a big day.
Mhm.
I'm hoping for DeBlanco.
Mm.
Will that draft special, like we can go
Everybody
through the
is.
whole list, grade this is so great. Go over combine footage. I feel like we have an assignment. I feel like we
See,
have an
now he's
assignment.
excited about it, so it's gonna happen.
Okay, so guys, fan forum question number 1. The Edmonton Elks have released their theme nights. Over the past few years, the Elks have done a soft version of the theme nights. And they've been real. They've been real, but they're not like hard versions of the hard, No, it's a soft version of the theme nights. This year, it's better. they've decided to advertise a little bit differently
Mm-hmm.
by having, individual graphics for each
Mm-hmm.
theme night, which
Yeah.
is amazing. So what do you guys think of the theme nights? Did the Elks get it right?
Well, before we get into that, let me just take you through the theme nights in case you haven't seen it, in case you don't know much about them. Saturday, June 8th, our home opener versus Saskatchewan is, of course, going to be the largest EE alumni autograph session. What is it, 2 hours before the game?
Yeah, 2 hours. I like how you said Saskatchewan. That was good.
It's going to be the new way that I say see now,
Suck,
it's
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan. That's beautiful. But anyways,
Friday, June 14th versus Montreal, we have 90s night.
new
Which
shades, new
I
shade
know
alert.
that's our time to
I'm
shine.
so
We're
excited.
90s kids.
So
So
excited. So excited.
July 14th, which is a Sunday, versus Ottawa, we have Dino Day, which there's confusion as to what that is. I personally didn't know. I thought it's just because everybody likes dinosaurs.
Clarke still doesn't know.
Yes, well, it is the world's first inflatable T-Rex combine at halftime. So, yeah.
If you like the inflatable T-Rexes, you're gonna really love this.
You know what?
night.
I love those videos online.
5 years ago. Anyways.
I still watch them and I still laugh when I see those, okay? So I'm going to
I'll
be
shut
there
up.
watching.
I'll shut up.
Sunday, July 18th versus Hamilton, we have the Indigenous celebration. Sunday, August 11th versus BC, we have Country Day, which I'm not a fan of, but I am definitely a fan of the petting zoo that they will have there. Not inside the stadium, probably not, but somewhere.
Probably not.
They will have an Elks bull riding not so invitational session. So I'm not sure exactly what that is. It says it's back, so we probably have seen it before, but should be fun. I'm
Country
mostly
Day.
excited about the petting zoo. September 7th versus Calgary is Family Day, where youth 17 and under get in free with a paid adult. So that's good. September 21st versus Winnipeg, we have Campus Clash, where we welcome students with $15 tickets for any post-secondary students return in the north end zone.
Huge last year.
It was massive.
Huge.
Tons of kids.
Our tailgate. Didn't we do chili cook?
Yeah,
it was
maybe.
Was it chili cook-off during?
Don't remember.
It was. So they came through.
No, I don't think so, because we had a whole bunch of
Oh no, it wasn't.
students when
It wasn't.
we did something else, and I remember that they were already, half loaded at the tailgate, and they were so excited about all the free food that they wanted to give us money because they couldn't believe that we were just giving them free little sandwiches. That was fun.
Yeah, those guys were sloshed. Like, I mean, it was great. Those and women, everybody,
Yes. Everybody was sloshed.
They were sloshed. But it was hilarious to see how big that was, and bringing the schools together and selling the cheap and get the students out there for the bottom dollar. So they've done that well.
It was
They've
fun.
done that well.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Excited for that one.
October 4th, which is a Saturday, versus Saskatchewan. Hollywood night. We will have superhero laser tag inside the kids zone, and you can walk the red carpet and strike a pose as you enter the stadium at gate 2. So dress to impress and come eat some chili during that day. I think that's the one that we have.
Yeah. No, we're October 5th.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
that's Hollywood night.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I thought you were talking about
dress to
October
impress
25th.
and bring a little apron so that you don't get chili on it.
That's exactly it. And I think they're also doing the pie contest in one earlier as well, right?
No, that is on October 25th versus Toronto. We have the Spooktacular event where there's going to be pumpkin carving and pie eating contest at the tailgate. There will be trick-or-treating stations around the concourse, and they will be unveiling the EE all-time team.
Nice. So you have to wait until the end of the season to get the EE all-time team. That's good. That's good.
We have a question here. Is the tailgate community going to release a theme night schedule?
That's a good question. We should have a tailgate committee.
Yeah, we should. But I feel like perhaps the theme night schedule for the tailgate should go kind of hand in hand with the theme nights of the Elks, like what they have, but just
Yeah.
add to it
Well,
and just.
your menus.
Oh yes,
Tailor your menu.
to the
Oh,
theme
this is
nights.
great.
Like,
Fantastic.
how
Yeah.
do you make chili into Hollywood? A Hollywood chili. Like I don't know about that.
There's things I can't say on air.
Let's not go.
No, but you could do like you set up your stall a little bit ritzier,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Or
That's
you
true.
have sparkly instead of giving everybody red Solo cups, you hand out
Glitter.
glittery cup.
Just glitter. You just blow glitter on them.
You could do that too. Gold. There you go. Gold flake smoked meats. You put the gold flake
Whoa.
in it.
Fancy.
That's how you do it, Hollywood. 90s.
Yeah.
Spam. We would cook spam.
don't.
Smoked spam. Smoked spam.
Anyways, to go back to the original question, what do I think of these theme nights? We're very sleep deprived, by the way. We're funny when we're sleep deprived.
Yeah,
But anyways,
we've had a pretty sick household. I mean, we've been dealing with some coughing kids, and
but
yeah.
yes. Anyways, I think this is great. I'm actually very very excited. Um, I don't necessarily get the chance to go out much, and if wink wink, but if we're able to make it a little bit more than just going to a football game, especially with families, if you can get ready together and look forward with something with a theme and making it a lot more fun, and know that there's tons of activities around the concourse and there's going to be tons of activities at the tailgate and before and after the game, like that's just an all day of fun. Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, I agree. Now, I think some of the themes could be better. There's a couple of themes I don't necessarily agree with that much. I do think they're good. I think that the particular way that they've released this schedule is something that they've been missing for 10 years.
Yes.
This is like a 10 to 20 year missing piece here. The Edmonton Elks have never properly displayed their theme nights. Like, yeah, you can always make a quick calendar schedule and do it all in one sheet, right? No. They have this like they have a graphic, a nice big graphic for each individual theme night. It should be bigger. It
Yes.
needs to be celebrated as bigger. What did Dave Jameson say when he was on the show, right? It's like,
Mhm.
you're not reinventing the wheel here.
No.
Right? There's nothing to reinvent. But you focus on those whatever little pieces you have to deal with. You
The
make them the
experience.
best. You make them the best.
experience. You're increasing the experience. You're enhancing the experience. It's not just about going and sitting in a cold chair, depending on the time of the year, or a very hot chair,
Or
and
exactly.
and just watching a game, right? It's the whole experience that you're enhancing with a lot of these theme nights. And really, I mean, even Dino Night doesn't make sense. It's still gonna be fun.
But look, like talking about the experience, smoked spam for Len before he goes in. You know, the tailgate allows you to offer a little bit of the theme night
Yeah.
in a food form.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. But I'm not eating that. What would your Hollywood costume be? We have another.
Oh, Len. What would my Hollywood costume be?
I'm gonna be The Rock.
Hollywood. I'm gonna go as Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, perfect.
Why
I'm
not?
into it.
I'd have to shut up. Slow your roll. But with the Dino challenge, let's say, right, with the Dino theme, I just wish that it. Oh, you know what? No, I'm gonna take this back because I just thought about it. They are supporting Drumheller. They're getting
Yes,
Drumheller
they are.
involved. They're trying to get kids down there more, right? Which is what you want. You want to spread your tourism across your province.
That's true.
We have some very great terrain out here. We're lucky to have mountains in Alberta. We're lucky we have a desert.
Yeah, weird, but yes.
We have a desert. All the lakes, all the trees, plateaus. We have everything but coast here in Alberta. So take advantage of it, but also support one another, except for Calgary.
Yeah.
So and I mean Drumheller is right in between. Right in between nights, the herb chat. But yeah, anyways, Drumheller is right in between Red Deer and Calgary. So support all you want, as long as it's not the word Calgary. Ryan
Very
Messer in the
true.
Herd chat about the Hollywood scout should go as Zach Galifianakis.
We'll get one of those fake babies.
Yes, give me the fake baby with some shades.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can see it.
baby on board.
Alrighty, let's talk about question number 2.
Question number 2.
The Elks have been criticized recently for having too many quarterbacks on their roster going into training camp. We talked about it very briefly before. Some fans believe that this is a catalyst for Trey Ford leaving the Double E in 2025. Are fans overreacting, or does the extreme number of quarterbacks spell doom for Trey Ford in Edmonton?
That is a good question, isn't it? So we just talked about the extreme amount of defensive linemen that we have right now, which, remember, it's jobber season. He even shout out to Keyshawn. He ended up adding the Elks Herd on social media. I think he's one of the first new signees that have added us before we added him. So shout out to him. But it's going to be a dogfight in training camp. With quarterbacks, it's a little bit different. With quarterbacks, you already know who's going to be starting, right? So in this scenario, we do have to remember as well, for the last 2 years, we've had a large amount of quarterbacks going in, and then when training camp starts, and even rookie camp camp starts first. So by the time rookie camp starts, we're usually down to around 6, and then we go into the actual camp with 5. 5, I believe, is the number, and then 6 if you have the regional prospect. Regional invite. So Eli Hetlinger of the U of A Golden Bears was actually the invitational quarterback last year. So he got to do the training camp with them and everything else, get that experience. It's great. Generally, though, in this position, we know who our starter is. We know who our backup is. We still have Daggy.
Yeah.
We still...
why? Why is it that we
forget
have...
about Daggy.
Why do we have so many?
It's mostly it could be redundancy, right? What if we believe that this guy isn't going to show up? We got a backup plan. That could be a reason. The other reason is to make sure they snag him so nobody else snags him. So it's a gathering. It's a hoarding. It's a hoarding.
They're hoarding.
And this isn't the turf district. We're not even talking about Mike's hoard here. We're talking about Chris Jones hoarding quarterbacks.
So nobody else can get them. Oh my lord! I mean, I could see it.
But that's part of it, right? That's part of the strategy, because as soon as you get up to that training camp, now everybody else has their rosters filled, unless somebody gets injured, unless somebody has a critical injury in there with one of their starters or backups or presumable roster members.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, the one thing that I like to think for myself, that's how things are happening in the Elks right now, is that there's really good communication between Chris Jones and everybody in the coaching staff and the players to kind of let the players know what the end game is. Because personally, if I was in Trey Ford's position and suddenly I had another 7 quarterbacks being signed, I'd be worried. I'd be like, okay, what's going on? Is my position in danger? But that would be the big but. As long as there is really good communication between the coaches and the teams and the owners and, your MVPs and your Trey Fords that are the starters to know that their positions are safe, that they shouldn't worry, then that should be fine. But by the way that it looks at it, without knowing that that's exactly what is happening, that makes me wonder. That makes me worried for Trey Ford. And I think a lot of people are worried in the same way.
Well, and especially too because MBT came in.
Yes.
That was the number one issue, I think, for many fans. And then, of course, you heard about the aftermath. Trey Ford wasn't happy. MBT called him as soon as he was signed and said, look, dude, I understand you're not happy, but I'm here to help you in the long term. Which, once again, MBT might be here for the next 2 to 3 years. We really don't know what's going to happen with that quarterback room from year to year, game to game at this rate, game to game, right? MBT is the presumable starter for the foreseeable future.
Yes.
Everybody needs to accept that right away. Injuries happen. Development happens. Tom Wilkinson and Warren Moon.
Mhm.
and we've talked about this before, right? That dynamic. Somebody's kind of like a dad in that scenario. The other one is the young apprentice, the son.
Mhm.
And in the end, you get a man.
Mhm.
In the end, your
Yes.
product is a man.
And that's the hope for Trey
And
Ford.
Trey Ford and
For sure.
G Roy's words on the matter were very, very telling, right? It's
Mhm.
something that I've been thinking about a lot as well because I'm a fan. I'm a fan like everybody else here. Um, we want this team to succeed. We want wins. We also don't want to lose Trey Ford, especially when the Edmonton Elks, aka Chris Jones, specifically used a first round draft pick, went ahead, grabbed Trey Ford. And when you do that, you stunt the development of other areas. So it's a waste of time, resource, everything else into developing. Like it's a lot of work to develop. So if we do lose Trey Ford, yes, then it's all for a waste. It's all for nothing.
Mhm.
And it happens a lot in football. But in this particular situation, great quarterback, great young quarterback, has a
Mhm.
lot to learn, but Canadian treasure.
Yes.
And everybody wants to see another Nathan Rourke.
Mhm.
We want to see our Canadian quarterback shine on the international stage, not just the national stage, the international. So Trey Ford hasn't even truly fully stepped up
No.
and onto that national stage
No.
yet for a good amount of time. He's been
Mhm.
up there and he's been yanked off a couple of times,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
With the shepherd's hook, right? Every single time.
Mhm.
It's like Trey Ford's trying to go play in there with me.
Nope.
But there's
Yeah.
reasons for that, and everything does happen for a reason. So it's I understand why people are choked. I don't think that people should be panicking, but I do understand why they are.
Mhm.
Me myself, I saw that and I'm like, ah, here we go.
There's another one.
Seriously,
Well, that's
there's another one right here. We go. What's Chris Jones doing now? I think I might have said what's Chris Jones doing now, and I'm not a coach. I'm
Mhm.
not a coach. I don't deal with any of that. I have no idea what it's actually like to run that team. And Chris Jones is he's doing he's doing the best he can. He knows his job is on the line this year.
right.
That's it. Simply put, his job is on the line. So it's a even if you are worried about it, it's out of our hands now.
Yeah, it's like
It's gonna
well, it
be
just
a
makes you wonder. Right? That's the only thing. Makes you wonder what's going on.
totally,
And
totally.
and the same thing, that's why I made the mention that I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but you hope that at least there is enough communication so that, the ones that we want to stay actually do stay because there is great talent in Trey Ford. And it would be very unfortunate to see him walk for something like that. But
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, my stance on the matter, Trey Ford needs to stay in Edmonton. I mean,
mhm,
it's whatever we can do to keep Trey Ford, definitely need to do it. But at the same time, MBT coming in needed to happen. It needed to happen for Trey Ford. J. Roy Simon, his words. Um, people, if you're looking for that information, Three Down Nation has that article.
mhm,
But yeah, G. Roy Simon basically just flat out said that he does not. He's not at that elite level of quarterback yet,
mhm,
and we want him to get there. Needs to get there. Would love to see it happen at an MBT to Trey
mhm,
Ford. Hands over the reins, and it's not at the end of this year. It would be at the end of next year.
mhm.
That would be my ideal scenario. Um,
Huh.
other than okay,
Well,
let's close it.
yep,
Let's
before we do.
yes,
Yes.
Jamie Fadoon in the herd chat.
Yes, he would like to plug in Pay It Forward with Football. They are having a bowling event on May 4th at Bonnie Doon Mall from 1 to 4. They are a great charity event and fun for the whole family.
Totally. Let's quickly talk about this. We went last year. Our
Hmm.
friends over at Pay It Forward with Football, they've done really great things for fans, or no, it's not even fans. It's just people that have never been to a football game before,
Hmm.
or also can't afford it.
Hmm.
People that just don't have the means. It's a tough access for them, right? Not so accessible for them. Pay It Forward with Football. They have been doing this for around, I want to say, 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
Like Pay It Forward with Football has been doing this for a while. Great organization. May 4th, they're gonna have a massive bowling event. I tickets.
Hmm.
So $30 per person, and that gets you a couple of hours of bowling, and you get to bowl with some Edmonton Elks players. So they do this every year.
They have a silent auction as well. Well, not so silent, but they do have an auction, and
Yeah.
you can put in your name for some really cool things that they will have available. I know last year they had some pretty nifty
Oh yeah.
CFL gear. Hey,
Yep.
that it was like pretty exclusive. You couldn't find anywhere else. So
Yeah, it was stuff
that
that you
was
couldn't get on the get from the stores. I don't think.
no.
They had some exclusive stuff. James Wilder was there last year. I want to say Aaron Grimes was there. Yeah, I mean it's always a great time. They managed to pull some great players as well. I think Mike Beaudry was there. I want to say.
Don't remember.
I'm trying to jog it. Either way, guys, highly recommend. Pay it forward with football. Always great people, and it's always a great time. We will do our best to make it down there, and even if we don't make it down, we're still going to donate to their cause because they do great things. So, yeah,
Mhm.
gotta love those folks.
Yes.
Sam and Quentin. Okay, guys, fan forum. We're shutting it down. The fan forum is officially closed. Thank you so much to everybody in the herd chat for participating today. That was a fun one.
Mhm.
It with an Oilers game and now the playoffs, it's going to be a little bit trickier for this airtime. We will probably try to. We're definitely going to work our show schedule around the upcoming NHL playoffs. With the Edmonton Oilers being in, we understand that our fellow fans here are most likely Edmonton Oilers fans, and even if you aren't, yeah, even if you aren't an Oilers fan, we know that you're probably going to watch it anyways. So, yeah, guys, we'll go ahead and move our schedule around going forward. Oh,
Yes.
Len Nunez in the herd chat, Beaudry and Grimes. That's who it was.
There you go.
Yes. James Wilder had a separate event at
Right. Yeah, that was a
Lanes.
different bowling event.
Different bowling event, same lanes. All right, guys, this is it for tonight's episode of the Elks Call. Wherever you are watching from, whether it be on Facebook or on YouTube. YouTube is at Shotgun Sports Network Limited, by the way, LTD. But guys, wherever you're watching or listening from, especially on your favorite podcatcher as well, Edmonton Sports Talk, iHeartRadio, TuneIn. I almost said iTunes Radio, like Apple Podcasts, by the way. Apple Podcasts, shout out for everybody that has been downloading on Apple Podcasts. Spotify, we got to get those numbers up there, but Apple Podcasts is our number one. We did check the stats.
It sucks because that just tells me that a lot of people have iPhones.
Go Samsung. No, and you know what? Go Apple, because you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts, and we're over 1,000 downloads, by the way. Over 1,000 downloads. Very exciting. I don't know what the number's at now. I think we checked it around a couple months ago when we got the season started. So either way, guys, can't thank you enough. Also can't thank Reed Clarke enough. Can't thank him enough for thanking me enough. That was good. Guys, this was fantastic. We have another big episode in 2 weeks from now. For tonight, we're going to log out. This was the Elks Call. We are the Elks Herd. My name is Scout.
And I'm Catherine, aka Do You Even Elks?
And we are on out of here. Cheers, everybody.
Have a good night.